Welcome to Self-Powered Healing. I'm Barbara McNeely, the creator of Self-Powered Healing. And this month, November, I'm doing something quite different. Perhaps you've heard of this thing called National Podcast Post Month, or maybe you haven't, but it happens every November, and podcasters commit to publishing 30 episodes within the month of November. So I'll be doing that for the month of November, and we'll see if I get to the end and succeed with the 30. That's the plan. I'm going to talk about some questions that I've had on my mind that I keep asking and I can't get answers to. Why are there so many childhood allergies today, especially those that are anaphylactic? I'm old enough to tell you that when I was a child, we didn't know anyone that had a peanut allergy or another allergy like that. I think I knew one person in school that had type 1 diabetes, and there was a girl in my school who had polio. But other than that, I don't remember that. And today's children are much, shall we say, heavier and than they were when I was a child. So we have an increase in diabetes and obesity and allergies and autism and heart disease. And I'm the type of person that likes to analyze things. And so my first question is always, why? Why is this going on? What has changed from when I was a child that this is such a common thing nowadays? You would expect, or I would expect, that the government and the scientists would be looking at what has changed and what can we do about it. Instead, they seem to focus on what drug can we give them to counteract this. And it's not just one thing. I know that some people will say, oh, well, it's sugar. Oh, well, it's that kids today don't go out and play. Um, or it's gluten, or it's, we should be vegan. And we have these people that create these weird diets that are, I know, I don't mean weird, but I mean, they were weird to me, where we're going to eat keto. I have a friend that does that, except when they don't want to eat keto and they just go off of it. Or vegan, carnivore, low fat, high fat, every conceivable thing it seems like that you could come up with for a diet is out there today. And they're actually all trying to fix the same problem, but the problem they're trying to fix is the broken system. When you look at things, I'll be talking in more detail about food and what we've done to food in the last 50, 75 years, because it's kind of sad. My grandmother lived, I think, her entire life on a farm, and she grew her own vegetables, raised her own chickens, got her own eggs, canned her green beans. She was a fabulous cook. And she would be appalled at what we do today for food. I was raised with the idea that we made things from scratch. So I don't buy cake mix, I make a cake from the ingredients that go into the cake mix minus all the chemicals. I'm getting off track a bit, but the whole point is that there's been so much that has been done to our food that we basically need a reset. My favorite example of all of that is that people that don't eat gluten and they say they're allergic to gluten or they can't eat gluten. There are people who have celiac disease and they do have a real problem with gluten, but for the rest of us, I'm not real sure that gluten is the actual problem so much as what we've done to wheat. I'm a whole wheat person, and that's what I strive to eat. And I actually um, start with the wheat berries, so I really am whole wheat. But it's also organic, because if you don't have organic wheat, then it's actually not just the herbicide glyphosate used in the growing, but it's also used in the drying process. And the dirty little secret that most people don't put together is glyphosate is the same thing as Roundup. And if you've paid attention, you've noticed that there's an awful lot of lawsuits out there, class action lawsuits against Roundup because of all the cases of lymphoma that have been linked to Roundup. But at the same time, we call it glyphosate and we let it in our food supply. So you can't make sense of these things. It's like I don't know what it's like. But the food supply is definitely something that needs to be addressed. And so I'll be talking more about our food and what's in, especially processed foods. So stay tuned for more of that. Thanks for listening today. If you have any comments on this episode or on the whole Napod Pomo concept in general, you can visit this page to leave comments. selfpoweredhealing.com/November 2024. You can also find a listing and link for all November's episodes on that same page, selfpoweredhealing.com/November 2024. By the way, Self-Powered Healing is still looking for interviews with people who want to share a story of healing. Do you have a healing story? I would love to hear about it and see if maybe you could share it on our show. So if you're interested in sharing, then visit selfpoweredhealing.com/share to schedule a chat. You aren't committing at this point. You're just having a chat with me to see what your story is about. It will be confidential unless or until you decide you want to share. And if you get there and there's not a convenient time for you, send me a message because we'll always find a time. And remember this always, you are a magnificent being with powerful innate healing abilities.